This is the home of British motorsport, the iconic Silverstone circuit here. The sun is still out and we have one more race left in the GB4 Championship this weekend. It's the reverse grid race, which means the top 12 is flipped on its head, meaning the Frenchman Romain Bouquet will start on pole position for Scorpio Racing, with Charlie Myers, one of the 9 rookies on the grid for Arda Motorsport, starting alongside him. It's going to be fascinating to see the overtakes that this race always throws up. It's always fun to end the weekend this way, isn't it, Piers?
It's been a tradition of the championship for, well, since it started, that we have this reverse grid race 3. Partial reverse grid gives those drivers who have been fastest an opportunity to show their racecraft, and those who hadn't quite been fast enough in qualifying an opportunity to race at the front.
If you're a rookie starting on the front row, is that a little bit worrying in your first race weekend, or is it an exciting opportunity?
I think most drivers will see it as an exciting opportunity. Nerve-wracking, maybe. And Romain Bouquet will be the driver for a team that we haven't seen a huge amount in the GB4 Championship, Scorpio Motorsport as well. So good opportunity for that team to show itself in front of everyone.
Well, we'll find out what happens in a matter of minutes. But first of all, I'm Jon Jackson, this is Piers Prior, and let's remind ourselves as to what happened in the second race of the weekend a little bit earlier today.
Highlights from round 2 of the GB4 Championship in 2026 saw Fred Green lead from pole position. Wasn't a great start from Alex O'Grady, who would drop back into 4th position. And of course, Del Grosso was missing from the grid after failing to get going on the formation. That would have to start the race from the pit lane. A couple of drivers going off on the opening lap, as a few drivers were struggling going down into the opening corner before there was some 3 wide heading down into Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel. It was Thomas Ingram Hill on the right hand side, it was Dayton Coulthard on the left, and Alex O'Grady through the middle. For Dayton Coulthard, though, there was the spin which O'Grady read brilliantly and was able to just sneak his way past. There would be a safety car and we would go back racing after the early dramas, as Enzo Holman was keeping pressure on for the race lead. For Alex O'Grady, it was going backwards. Matan Achtov would make that move to work his way through into 5th position, whilst Luke Hilton had gained 14 positions on the opening lap, was nearly knocking at the door of the top 10 as he was making further progress. Archie Bullard would have a spin, and whilst that was happening, unfortunately for Holly Mile, there was this issue as well that saw her off and out of the race. It would be a red flag as the race would come to a close, and Fred Green would come across the line to take his 2nd consecutive victory in GB4.
Well, look, 2 wins from 2 races so far. How was this morning different? Obviously, the safety cars kind of ruined the flow a little bit.
Yeah, we had our 2 new tyres on then, so I was a bit cautious. Obviously I didn't want to make a mistake when they were cold, so the first opening laps I was sort of taking it easy, and then safety car came out, which allowed me to warm them back up. And obviously, yeah, the pace looked mega when we got back going, and then obviously it went safety car again, which is a shame. But yeah, I think we developed the car well from race 1 to 2 for the old tyres, so I think we're in a really good place, and I'm so excited to go from 12th in the next one and see what we can achieve.
A race that was slightly hampered by those safety cars there, but you still had to get that position on the grid in qualifying, and you still had to keep on the track. How was it for you?
No, I mean, mostly safety cars. Little bit ruined my race. We were on scrub tires. He has 2 new, so I knew he would have had a bit of a problem getting them in when it's so cold outside. So I thought that I was on it the first laps. Maybe we could have passed him, but yeah, the safety car came out and he got to scrub in his tires. So yeah, I'm still happy, you know, it's a P2 and we've done a great weekend so far. Yesterday we had a bit of unlucky start. We got on the outside, got some dirt on the tires and dropped back and couldn't really gain the positions back. So yeah, I'm happy with the P2 and yes.
Congratulations on the podium. How do you feel about that race?
Yeah, a bit lucky as well, to be fair. Just we put on new lefts on the left side and just couldn't get them going because not used to new tyres on just one side, first time ever, and just getting used to that. And yeah, but we'll be better for the next one.
Well, as I said, Piers, there are 9 rookies on our grid this weekend. It's a record-sized grid for GB4, 29 drivers, which is super impressive. And we've seen 2 races so far without too much drama. A little bit of drama here and there. Obviously, the reverse grid race might throw up a little bit more drama. If you're one of the faster drivers who's been successful this weekend, what are you thinking starting a little bit further back than you're used to so far?
Well, if I'm Fred Green, who's taken 2 wins, for example, I'm just looking for a solid point score. Keep out of trouble on the first lap. Even if you lose a couple of positions, you still get places for where you finish in this reverse grid race, partially reverse grid, less so. Because, yes, it's an additional point for every place you gain, but when you've already had, for example, Fred Green 70 points, it's not exactly. You'd rather take in another 10 and end the weekend strong. And same for those drivers that were not too far behind. But the drivers in sort of 6th, 7th, 8th place, they're going to be looking to drive their way forward, try and take as many points as possible.
So it's going to be a huge incentive to get some overtakes in more than ever. And well, we have a young French driver with Scorpio Motorsport starting on pole position, Romain Bouquet, who's the first driver we're going to hear from as Piers caught up with some of the drivers after the second race.
Down here getting some post-race reaction, we've got Romain Bouquet for Scorpio Motorsport. Romain, thank you very much for taking time to chat to us after the race. Your first experience here in GB4 this weekend. It's been a strong start to the year for yourself.
Well, to be fair, we didn't have a lot of testing during the winter. Only 6 days of testing with official testing in Silverstone also. So I think, yeah, the team did quite a good job to get a good setup with the data that we have. And yeah, quite happy about it. Quite lucky also in those 2 first races, which is quite good when we compare to the fact that I wasn't really lucky in the qualification. So yeah, quite happy about it, yeah.
And for those who don't know what you've done before, tell us about where you've raced before GB4.
Well, to be fair, I didn't race that much. We only did the F4 Chets last year. We did maybe 8 days with the races and testing included. Before a bit other stuff, but not really. That's the hugest season I've did in my racing career, let's say. So yeah, quite happy about the results and the adaptation of the car. Yeah.
We've only got one more race this weekend to come, the reverse grid. Did you made it into the reverse grid?
Yeah, I think I'm starting on pole, so that's going to be quite a challenge to keep everybody behind. But yeah, as usual, I'm going to do my race and not worries about what happened behind me. And we will see. If we can make a good result, then that's great. So yeah.
Romain, thank you so much for taking time to chat to us. Things are going well so far. We'll look forward to seeing how the season progresses. I'll let you go and cool off after the race. We'll grab Connor Willis in from a Hill Speed as he had a pretty good race in that second race of the weekend. Connor, that was you were well in the thick of the action there.
Yeah, it was a blast. So much fun. It was definitely colder out than yesterday, so just adapting to those conditions was something. But yeah, had a blast. Got some good passing in and ready for race 3.
Let's talk about those conditions because the conditions yesterday were pretty much perfect.
Yeah.
Cooler this morning. How does that actually affect the car? What do you feel different?
Yes, you have to work a lot harder to get heat in the tires and work the brakes to get the core temperature up. And so it's just having that experience of how to maximize that warm-up lap. Every little weave matters. And so just trying to extract the most from it, and under those safety cars as well, doing the same thing, keeping the heat in the tires. And so it was fun to experience that in the colder conditions and the warmer conditions yesterday. So a lot of experience, and looking forward to using that experience.
It must be a good feeling for you to join the championship and be right in there and fighting for top 10 straight away.
Yes, good feeling, and I think Formula Ford last year prepared me well. Open wheel without aerodynamics, and so tap some wings on it, and now we have downforce, and so it's just a blast, yeah.
Well, Connor, you look like you're enjoying yourself. Thanks very much for chatting to us, and we'll grab our third driver up, which is going to be Caitlin McDaniel. Caitlin, great to have you back in the championship. Change of colours this year with nitrous with ADM. You've got a smile on your face as well. You went again also right in the thick of the action. Tell us about that second race from your perspective. I know there wasn't a huge amount of racing going on with those safety cars.
Yeah, but it's been good to be in the midfield now. I'm P16 I think in that race, so already almost matching my best result from last year. So I don't know, it's just been a big improvement, and I'm really excited to be back.
You've had an improvement, of course, change of team, but I think that you've got a lot more confidence. I can see in the paddock that you're walking around yeah, I know what I'm doing now.
Yeah. I mean, last year was my first full season racing in general, karts or cars or anything. So I think now coming into it, I'm much more aware of how the paddock works, and I'm a bit more confident just overall.
And also in the races as well, I feel like you must have taken learned a lot of things from last season, your first season, into this second year. What's the goal for the rest of the year?
So, I mean, the goal is just to improve as much as possible. I'd like to get a reverse grid pole. I think that's very possible at Donington. We were running P15 or something. So I think reverse grid pole, just get as many points as possible kind of thing, yeah.
Caitlin McDaniel there, she'll start in 20th, so a lot of places to be made up there potentially. Obviously it's a little bit later in the day here, we've got the British GT race that's on at the moment. How will 3 hours of endurance racing plus all of the other races we've had earlier on today, Piers, how will that affect the track when they're going out there a little bit later? It's going to be very different to this morning.
Yes, it will be hugely different. The circuit will feel a lot different to the drivers in 2 regards. One, the rubber, the Pirelli rubber, I think it's Pirelli rubber that's been laid down for the GT cars is different slightly to the rubber that we use in the GB4 Championship. So that will affect how much grip the cars have to the corners, and the balance of the car may change. The more experienced teams who have raced at this event in previous years will be able to preemptively change the car setup for that. But also, the amount of marbles that will be off the racing line as well will mean that if you get pushed off the racing line, you're going to be lacking grip. You need to be in the right part of the circuit.
Yeah, you don't want it to be a bumpy ride. I think that British GT race will be finishing very soon, which means our race will be up next. And obviously, this is the first weekend of the new season. It may be the first race you're managing to catch on the broadcast. So if you are new, welcome along. If you're a long-time viewer, thanks for coming back. And if you just need a little refresher as to what the GB4 Championship is all about, here's Lewis.
Welcome to the GB4 Championship. This exciting series is partnered by the BRDC and is managed by MSVR, the dedicated racing arm of Motorsport Vision. It is designed as the perfect entry point for the next generation of racing stars. In 2026, the record grid will feature talented young drivers as young as 15 years old. They'll all be competing in the Tata's MSV GB4025, a nimble and sophisticated machine that teaches them the fundamentals of slicks and wings racing. Every round features a single qualifying session that sets the grid for 3 20-minute races. Each driver's fastest time forms the Race 1 grid, with the Race 2 lineup settled by each driver's second quickest laps. Keep an eye on the third race of the weekend as it features the top 12 reverse grid. This means the fastest qualifiers is pushed back into the heart of the pack, forcing them to race their way through the field. The 2026 season is a marathon of 21 races spread across 7 rounds and 5 iconic circuits. We kick things off at the home of British motorsport at Silverstone. From there, the tour travels to Alton Park in late May, Donington Park in June, and returns to Silverstone and Snetterton in August. We'll head back to Donington Park for the high-stakes penultimate round before rounding out the season at the legendary Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit in late September. On the technical side, you won't see any mandatory pit stops in GB4. Each car is strictly limited to just 6 dry Pirelli tyres per weekend. That's only 1.5 sets. Because of this, tyre management becomes a critical skill. If a driver pushes too hard too early, they'll have nothing left for the final race. There's plenty on the line in 2026. The overall GB4 champion will be awarded a £50,000 contribution towards their 2027 racing programme in GB3. Plus, we have the George Russell Pole Position Cup. Each driver who secures a pole position wins £150, while the driver and the team with the most poles at the end of the year each take home a trophy and an extra £1,000 bonus. The rookie driver with the highest point score at the end of the season will win the inaugural Rookie Driver's title. The top scoring driver from the first 2 races of each weekend also receives an Omologato watch as part of the Omologato One to Watch award. Finally, GB4 is committed to supporting rising talent through the F1 Academy pathway. The highest placed female driver in the final standings will receive a career-changing €50,000 prize. This contribution is specifically designed to help them secure a seat in the 2027 F1 Academy Series, a route several GB4 graduates have followed in recent years.
Yeah, that is the GB4 Championship here at Silverstone Piers. I can never really get my head around how a 15-year-old can race around Silverstone for real in such a cool car. I mean, it must be mind-blowing at that age.
What were you up to when you were 15?
You don't want to know.
No, it is.
Seriously, you don't want to know.
No, it really is. It's these drivers are so mature beyond their years, and they've prepared for this for years, most of them in karting or on simulators, and they're operating at a hugely high level. You'll see a lot of the young drivers who do well in GB4 can move straight into GB3. We've seen Leon Wilson and Alex Catullus this year,
Taylor, yeah.
Jack Taylor, and they're right in the mix of things. And then the drivers that will do well in GB3 then move straight into Formula 3 and such like. So the level already at this entry-level stage of single-seater slicks and wings racing is really high.
Well, one of those drivers that's coming in at 15 is Matan Ashtov, the young Israeli driver. He's done a lot of karting before, and obviously starts pretty high up. Where is he starting today, Piers? We just forgot this.
Third place.
Yeah, 3rd place. So that's going to be a big one on the 2nd row of the grid. Let's hear what he had to say when Piers caught up with him earlier.
Matan
Ashtov.
Matan, race 2, you were right in the middle of the action there, inside the top 10. It's been a good start to your GB4 campaign.
Yeah, I think good recovery from the race yesterday. We had some struggles with electrical issues in qualifying, which held us back a lot. Race yesterday was a bit off my game, but this race got a good start, up from 9th to 5th, and just kept getting positions. a bit disappointing that we didn't get to run with the safety cars because the car felt good and I felt good and we had good pace, but we start P3 next race. Let's see what we can do.
I was about to come on to that, the reverse grid. You were inside that top 12, so looking forward to a good result in that one.
Yeah, obviously our aim was start in the top 3 for normal races, but from the struggles we had in qualifying, it's good to finish in the top 5 this race and see what we can do next race. Starting from P3, it'll be good chance for the win.
Of course, you've joined Elite Motorsport, who were the team's champions in GB4 last year, so you know the team have got a lot of experience. They must have been helping you a lot behind the scenes to get prepared for this GB4 season.
Yeah, I think the team were just flawless, all testing. It's not a secret we had a big setback at Brands with the crash, but to come straight back here, have 2 weeks off to think all over it and just get back in a new car and keep going has been just so much help from the team. And if we forget that pre-season testing, they've made me such a better driver, quicker. The help with Jody, Ed, team manager, Matt, my manager, it's been a lot of help from everyone around me.
It seems like you've got a really good foundation to start a great year in GB4. We'll see how you get on in that reverse grid race 3.
Thank you. I think just get as much points as we can and focus on one task at a time. Don't look too far ahead. Thank you.
So he will start third in this race, which is coming up in a matter of minutes. A new driver to the series this year. Luke Hilton, weirdly, was the fastest driver in qualifying. Obviously, it's a little bit different because it's a reverse grid race, but he will start towards the back after being disqualified from qualifying. We've seen him make up a lot of places. It's going to be fascinating to see what he can do. We're going to hear from him in a second after we hear from one of our returning drivers from last year, Lily Mae Watkins, who's driving with KMR Sport.
Lily, it's great to have you back in GB4 again for 2026. You look a lot more relaxed this season. You look like a lot more comfortable coming into the 26 year.
Yeah, last season obviously was stressful, being my first year in cars. So coming back this year, obviously, I know what I'm doing and I prepped well for this season. So it's just about being more relaxed and having the mindset this year.
And let's talk a bit about that prep, because I know you worked on a lot of things over the off-season to come back even stronger this year. Tell us a bit about what you've been doing to prepare for the 26 GB4 Championship.
I feel like a lot of it was obviously physical preparation, spending time in the gym, making sure we got all that sorted, because I feel like that is an important part of racing. And then also just spending the hours on the sim. Obviously not being able to be at the track means we have to spend that plus loads on the sim, just making sure that we stay up to scratch on stuff and making sure we're just progressing throughout the off season.
Yeah, and let's talk about some of that preparation you've mentioned there. You've mentioned the gym work. I know you've been working hard physically, because at points last year, you know, these cars are very physical to drive, and you being quite one of our smaller drivers, it's a lot more, percentage-wise, harder work, but I feel like it's really been paying off, because I've seen a big step forward in your performance this year.
Yeah, for sure. This season has been a lot better than last season, just being able to spend every single session pushing as hard as possible. I had points last year where my arms just couldn't hold on for the last couple of sessions, so being able to progress every single session this year is just a lot better.
And then let's talk about the fact that we've had 2 races so far this weekend already. At the start of the year, you've been well in the thick of the action. I imagine it's been quite enjoyable. What's your hopes for this year, and how would you reflect on those first 2 races?
I feel like obviously my hopes for the year is to be top female. That's always going to be my aim. With the couple races that we've had, I had a bad qualifying, just got stuck in traffic, didn't get my lap in. But then in the races, I've just gone forward. I ended the races P16, P15, gained about 5 positions in that race, just keeping out of trouble, just getting past people and just setting up my moves in a good way rather than just sending it.
I imagine top 10's only a matter of time then.
Yeah, for sure.
Amazing. Lily, great to have you back in the championship. Thanks very much for talking to us.
Thank you.
Luke, unfortunately we spoke to you yesterday because of course qualifying didn't go well, but you had a great race one, another strong race too. Considering we had less laps, you still made your way pretty much a long way up the field.
Yeah, I mean, on the warm-up lap, my focus was trying to get my tyre in. Obviously the temps were colder this morning, so it was more key trying to get core temp, getting your rears hot, so then you get a good launch off the line, which is what I did. And I think I made 6 positions off the line. And I think in total from today and yesterday I made 39 moves and positions, so that isn't too bad. But yeah, it was a good race. You know, it was quite frustrating because I know we would have been even further up the field. I'm guessing 6th position, but yeah, it is what it is. You know, like 2 safety cars. What can you do with 20 minutes of racing? So it isn't bad. The team, as I said yesterday, done an amazing job. You know, like we know we're P1 pace, and we obviously proved it in qualifying. But you know, at the end of the day, do you know, it's fun coming through the field, making all the overtakes. Scary, but you know, there's always a risk factor in that because it's open wheel, but you know, it's fun at the end of the day. I was enjoying myself, not under safety car obviously, but you know, it's racing. It happens, but yeah, I think it was a solid race.
I think you've shown real resilience so far this weekend. I know you were bitterly disappointed after the issues after qualifying, but to go plus 20 race 1, plus was it 14 I think in the end race 2, or 15 or something, plus 18 was it in the end? I didn't even catch it, but I know you were like plus 14 after the first lap. We'll look forward to seeing your progress in race 3.
Thank you very much.
Well, here we are now down in the assembly area. This is the area, Piers, where everyone waits before they get out to go to the grid. Then obviously there's the formation lap, and then there's the start of the race, and hopefully at the end of it a trophy or two for your team, and the first place trophy for you as a driver, I would imagine. And you know, this is a kind of nervy moment, and I feel now that these rookies, the 9 rookies we've got on the grid, they're going to be feeling, all right, cool, we've done this a couple of times now. But I think when you are starting at the front, there's that little bit of added pressure, isn't there?
No doubt there's a bit of added pressure because, well, you haven't got the safety blanket of I started in the mid-pack, I'll be in the mid-pack. You know that the eyes of everyone's watching on you. You've got the opportunity to get your potentially first podium or even first win if you're Romeo Bouquet, who's starting on pole position. I must say I'm really impressed with Romeo and also the whole Scorpio team to come in to the biggest grid we've ever had in GB4 and then be genuinely in the fight for the top 10 positions. It's impressive when you're up against the likes of Elite Motorsport, Hillspeed, Douglas, and so on, who have been in this championship since its inception. And I'm interested actually just looking at the cars on the grid, slightly different tyre strategies. We've got brand new left-hand side tyres for Charlie Myers outside of the front row, and also Achituv, who we're looking at right now, the left-hand side tyres, right-hand side as we're looking at it, brand new. So those drivers will have a bit more pace at the start of the race.
Well, we just saw Charlie Myers there, jumped the gun a little bit, got a little bit excited there and wanted to go out first, but they're all away safely. The marshal directing everyone has done an amazing job this weekend, making sure everyone goes out in the right order. We can see the cars coming out here. And my fact about our young friend Connor Willis is that his dad actually has, pardon me, he actually has the 100th floor on the Willis Tower. That is like his business, so it turns out Connor Willis does have a link to the Willis Tower. There we go. We'll talk to him about that a little bit later on. But for now, it's the final race of the weekend of the GB4 Championship. It's a reverse grid race, and we are ready to go racing.
First reverse grid then race of the season, and we've had a fantastic weekend so far here in the series opener of GB4, and one final race, one final 20-minute run around the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit to see out the season opener. A reminder then of the track we'll be racing at one last time, that race to Cobbs, Magus Beckers and Chapel, and the run down the Hanger Straight through Stowe, which has seen plenty of overtakes in both GB3 and 4, through Club onto the Hamilton Straight, then through Abbey, Farm, Village, Loop, Aintree, and then down the Wellington Straight into Brooklands and Luffield. A great overtaking opportunity there. Of course, the two real straights of overtaking opportunity being the Hanger Straight and the Wellington Straight. You can make some moves on the start finish and on the Hamilton Straight, and drivers certainly try it, and you'll need to on this 29 car reverse grid, the top 12. That's what we'll be looking at, what we'll be keeping our eyes focused on. It does mean that Romeo Bouquet will be the one starting from pole position after finishing in 11th and 7th in the opening 2 races of the weekend. Is a victory on the cards? Will there be a victory on the cards for Fred Green? That'll be the big question, having taken pole position in the opening 2 races, having led every lap of the opening 2 races, fastest lap in the opening 2 races, and victory in the opening 2 races as well. It's going to be a lot of fun to see them all kind of pick their way through. Obviously, Luke Hilton from the back of the field. As always, it's myself, Lewis McGlade, it's Piers Pryor in the commentary booth, ready for the race. We'll be able to take a look through the starting grid of the final race of the season whilst the drivers are working their way through. Remember, Bouquet will start from pole position alongside Charlie Myers, the rookie driver, from second position. Then it'll be Matan Achitov starting from third position, had some great moves in the previous race, and Connor Willis in 4th. Archie Davies will be the one starting from 5th position alongside Dayton Coulthard for Douglas Motorsports, and then back on row number 4, it's your podium sitter from the previous race, of course. It'll be Jason Smith starting from 7th position. Thomas Ingram Hill will start alongside in 8th, having missed out on the podium in both of the previous races with a 4th place finish in those. Then it'll be Emilio Valentino de Grosso starting from 9th position. Unfortunately, technically counted as a DNS in the previous race, but does have a podium to his name in the opening race of the season. He'll be starting alongside Enzo Hallman. Alex O'Grady and Fred Green, championship leader, will start from 12th position after the double victory so far this weekend. Behind them on row number 7, it'll be Torrin Byrne for pace performance and retirement in the previous race, starting alongside Jordan Martin, who was originally slated to start further down the order. That penalty got rescinded and back up to 14th position for her. Connor Grant will start from 15th position alongside Dimitri Nolan, and behind that it'll be Josh McLean for pace performance alongside Michael Coe. To the back end of the top 20, it'll be Lily Mae Watkins and Caitlin McDaniel making up row 19 and 20 on their return to the GB4 Championship. Then, of course, it is Archie Bullard and Holly Marler, retirement late on in the previous race. Jamie Leviton has finished in 23rd and 22nd, getting slightly better as the weekend progresses. Sullivan Amarausch will start from 24th position. Jessica Iskander and John O'Donnell from 25th and 26th position. Row 14, the penultimate row of the grid, has Enzo Ruggiero and, of course, Luke Hilton starting towards the back of the field, and on the final row, just by himself, it's Frank Chigalski starting from 29th. As I was going to say here, Piers, the last time we had a three-race weekend won by the same driver in all 3 races, any guesses?
Nicholas Taylor?
Nope. It was done in 2023, but not by Tom Mills.
No, I haven't got it off the top of my head. Go on, Lewis, hit me with it.
Cooper Webster.
Oh, of course.
Cooper Webster won all 3 races in the season finale at Donington.
Yeah.
That was the last time we had a driver win all 3 races on a given weekend. Now, we kind of look at that and we think, is there a high likelihood of it happening from 12th position for Fred Green with the pace he's been showing? He's very confident of it. I'm going to say, as a commentator of this championship for the last few years, I'm not as confident as he is. It is tremendously difficult to win from there.
Yeah, tremendously difficult indeed. I think the level also of the championship has taken a couple of steps up since then. Bumper grid, biggest grid we've ever had, 29 drivers on the grid. Also a really international grid. Is it 12 different nationalities? I think, yeah, with 12 different nationalities represented. So drivers from all over the globe coming and racing in this championship. And I think the front of the field is as competitive as ever. Well, it is more competitive than it has ever been, therefore making it more difficult. And although, Fred Green will give it a good go, there'll be plenty of people ahead of him on the grid that will be wanting to take that with victory in the 3rd race this weekend.
Well, if not Green, then who?
We'll find out.
I'm
not calling it.
Do you know what? I'm going to lean towards Achitov on the 2nd row of the grid. Looked incredibly fast in the previous race, and we'll have 20 minutes to try and do it here. It'll be Romain Bouquet and Charlie Myers on the front row of the grid, and we are racing for the final time this weekend at Silverstone. Great race start from Bouquet from pole position, who will lead the Scorpio into turn 1. Plenty of 2s and 3 wide. There's Luke Hilton, who started from the rear of the field, once again charging his way up. Sorry, Luke Hilton's a little bit further back from that, never mind. As they go side by side, heading into the opening complex, it's Charlie Myers trying to hang on for the bright yellow of Matan Achitov straight around the outside. That bright yellow elite car. Achitov will sneak his way through into 2nd position.
Achitov looking very racy down towards Maggots and Beckett's. A bold move. We don't often see moves made around the outside of Maggots, but that put him on the inside of Beckett's, and now he's the one snaking around trying to weave and break the toe from Charlie Myers in the number 22 red and white Arden car. We fan out 3 wide nearly in the background as we cut back to Fred Green, our winner of race 1 and 2 in the orange Elite Motorsports. Papaya Elite Motorsports car. They head down towards Vale. The first big braking zone on this first lap. The cars fan out and round the outside. Looks Fred Green, I think it was on Tom Ingram Hill, so we're already up a couple of positions. They still are side by side through club.
Del Grosso in the bright yellow there was able to keep Alex O'Grady at bay at the charcoal grey and the blue. Bit of defence coming in there in the background. It'll be one of the Douglas Motorsports cars. That should be Jason Smith. Potentially they're getting very defensive indeed, trying to keep them at bay as they head their way through. It's the number 99 of Connor Willis trying to make some progress. Dayton Coulthard in the all carbon fibred livery, of course, on the Douglas Motorsports car that was actually making some solid progress, and indeed he's going to make another bit because Connor Willis has gone out wide.
Willis wide at the loop. How many times have we seen that over the years? Drivers getting on the power just a little bit too early on the exit, and now Fred Green is looking for a move. I think, no, actually he's defending, is he? He's defending from the 99? Is that
no,
right?
It's because the 99 went off the road.
That was it. Oh, and then Dayton Coulthard up the road, looking up the inside of Charlie Myers, locking up. They go side by side through Luffield. Can Coulthard hold it all the way around the outside? Myers says no.
Coulthard's a great shout for this race, by the way. He had some great speed towards the end of last year, and he'll once again be showing it again. This is Jason Smith trying to find his way through. He's knocking at the door of Davies, and there is the move coming in. So straight through. Dayton Coulthard up now into third position, having got past Myers. The order at the moment is Bouquet, Achetuv, then Coulthard, then Myers, then Davies and Smith. Smith is where we're looking at the moment, flicking its way through the bright blue there of one of the it'll be Jason Smith, of course, in one of those Douglas Motorsports cars, picking his way through. He's got Thomas Ingram Hill right on the rear end.
Yeah, lots of chopping and changing on that first lap from those drivers, and the drivers that were at the front of the field in the first two races have made some positions. Coulthard up 2, Smith up 1, Ingram Hill up 1, Green up 4. So great start from our early championship leader. But look at this battle, nose to tail, and Green now looking on the back of Thomas Ingram Hill. Green in the Papaya Elite car, Ingram Hill having to go defensive towards the inside of Vale, but Green looks around the outside using his racecraft that he learned in Ginetta Juniors last year. Oh, they touch Ingram Hill wide, and it looks like Green's going to go through. Will there be any damage from either of those two? Actually, the rain light on Ingram Hill's car coming on, probably from his hand getting jogged on the steering wheel. Look who's getting involved. Del Grosso side by side, not quite through.
I will say there is already straight off the
Puncture.
road goes Fred Green. Yeah, that is a puncture on the front left. He also had some damage before that, even on his on the nose of his front wing. You actually kind of see it. So clearly it's been in the wars in the opening lap. The championship lead then will have to return his way to pit lane and get that tyre changed. Not a shock after that contact, and Thomas Ingram Hill's lucky to get away with it. Working their way past that, you've got one of the Pace Performance cars there who has a bit of damage on the front end. I think that one might be Byrne.
Yeah, I think it is Byrne. Who's made it at the advantage of that in the background. We've still got a 2x2 as we head down towards Brooklands. The number 5 on the inside, that is Del Grosso. He's had a good second lap of this race. He found his way through in the 2 Hill Speed cars. Look at that. Side by side they go through Brooklands. Side by side they remain through the exit of Luffield. Hopefully they will get through there quickly. And unfortunately that is another driver. It looks like a KMR Sport car. Holly Mile, and then another end. She ended the race in race 2 in the gravel this morning. She ends race 3 in the gravel as well. Unfortunately, that will bring out the safety car as well. So this race neutralised.
Yeah, and Bouquet then's going to lose out the 1.5 second margin that the race lead had been built. Achetuv will be able to close his way onto the rear end of Bouquet, and Dayton Coulthard, I've got to say, great shout for this victory. Started this race from 6th, runs up in 3rd, was victorious at Donington Park in the opening race of that weekend, and looking once again very strong, having set the fastest lap as well.
We've got some drivers in the pits, Lewis. Lily Mae Watkins for KMR Sport also in the pits. Not sure exactly why yet, but she was under her own steam, so not a good race this one so far for the KMR Sport team. One driver out in the gravel, one driver in the pit lane. There is Lily Mae Watkins, and she's getting out of the car.
That's a big shame. Of course, they will still have Alex O'Grady out on track at the moment. He runs in 12th position, the lone KMR Sport car. This will be good for Fred Green, to be fair, having got that puncture, be able to come into pit lane and get that one repaired. But obviously the points in this race, the points normally in GB4 run over the top 20. The points in this race, it's just the top 15. But you do also get the bonus point for every position you gain relative to your starting position. Now, I don't know if Fred Green's going to be able to get that puncture, get that tyre changed, and then get back out onto the track, and then be able to get up to more than 12th position by the end of the race. There he is in the pit lane, and he's getting out of the car.
Yeah, it looks like potentially there must be either more damage. It was probably more damage than just a puncture there. It was quite a hefty, when you get wheel-to-wheel contact like we had between Ingram Hill and Fred Green, wheels, when they grab like that, often it can damage and bend other parts in the suspension and the steering rack, and potentially that was also a secondary cause of Fred Green's retirement from this race. It was unfortunate because it was a good battle between those two, wasn't it? Green had already made up 4 places, and I actually said to Jon at the head of this show that potentially Green was going to take this pretty easy, taken already 2 wins, so a finish inside the top 12 was just a bonus, but he was still absolutely full send in this one. He was going around the outside of Vale, which put him on the inside of Club. I don't know if we're going to get a replay of that again, but it looked like it was just Green trying to carry as much speed as possible, Ingram Hill just trying to hold the outside line. But ultimately, the contact hindered the two of them, and more notably, Green. Ingram Hill seems like he's carried on, so just about got away with that one, and still runs in 7th place. So he's still up from his grid slot of 8th place, up 1 place.
Well, obviously, he was hit on the rear of the car, and the rear tyre, the rear wheel is generally stronger than the front. If there's going to be one, if it's front to rear contact, you normally sit there and think, the front's going to crumple before the rear. There's a lot more going on back there.
Yeah, side to side contact, yes, you're right. Although often we see if cars get interlocked and one car's front wheel hits the rear of the rear wheel, then sometimes the rear wheel gets sent upwards, but that wasn't the case in this instance. But impressive from Bouquet at the front of the field, absolutely not letting the occasion get to him so far, as we're just seeing word that we're expecting a red flag at any moment. So hopefully that means, hopefully all the drivers involved in those incidents are okay. Potentially Holly Mile was the one that was still stuck in the gravel at that stage. We'll keep you informed as we hear more.
Yeah, indeed. So we'll just keep our eye on what we can currently see on our screen and what we've currently had. But either way, Bouquet will come to a stop after what you'd said was a very, very good drive until that point. Was leading by just under 2 seconds, was pulling out a great margin over Adjective. And to be fair, I mean, that was more over because Adjective and Coulthard were both battling with Myers, and they were being pulled out of that battle for victory. And Bouquet up there in first place was able to build that margin. Now we'll have a very hungry Adjective and a very hungry and fast Dayton Coulthard behind once we get the restart going.
Yeah, it's interesting. Coulthard's in a bit of a unique situation here because if you look at the top, quite a few drivers. Bouquet, first-year driver. Adjective also. Coulthard, second-year driver. Myers, Davies, Smith, all new drivers. So Coulthard's got a lot of extra experience from those around him. Great to see Holly Mile getting out of the car. That's the main thing we wanted to see. I think that's partly the cause, or potentially the cause of the red flag, because she was taking a little while to get out. But she is walking away, which is the main thing, of course.
Yeah, indeed. So great to see. And unfortunately, not great to see a poor weekend, unfortunately, for Holly Mile. Some of it's just absolutely terrible luck. But that is sometimes how racing goes. So we'll keep our fingers crossed that she'll bounce back strong. We go racing in Alton Park in a few weeks' time. And now they're out of the car, they'll be able to get the car out of the way, and hopefully we'll get the race back underway. Who's made a lot of progress? So Hilton's up to 13th position, by the way.
Good drive again from Hilton, isn't it?
Remember, he gained 14 positions on the opening lap last race. He must have gained something close to that this time, because he's only gained 4 on the previous lap. So he must have gained 11 or 12 on the opening lap of the race.
Hilton, it would have been really interesting to see how Hilton had gone in the first 2 races if he'd have started where he qualified. A reminder that he unfortunately got a penalty at the end of qualifying, which basically got disqualified from qualifying, we believe from speeding under yellow, so not something you want to do, but that means that he's had to drive through the field in every single race so far, and he has done so. Clearly got the speed, clearly got the racecraft. He only needs things to go his way and just be a bit more careful in terms of things, and he's going to be right up there. But he will have learned a huge amount from this weekend, actually. It's his first race weekend with the Nitrous Competitions ADM racing team, and he seems to have gelled well there. That team have also taken a step forward, a one-car team last season and now a full roster this year. And with Luke Hilton's experience and speed, we saw a partial season from him last year. He's back for a full year this year. Hopefully, he can show exactly what he can do from the front of the field in the times gone by. But I think we've spoken about him a lot, but rightly so. I can't recall a driver making that many places so many times over a race weekend.
Well, Piers Pryor, ex-racing driver, commentator extraordinaire. I have a question for you.
Where are you going with this, Liz?
How's your mind on the rules of this championship?
Pretty good.
Okay. What's the situation now? We've had 5 minutes of racing. We've had a red flag out. what happens now? Because I'm assuming we'll have a standing start again. Is it a full race restart? Is it returning to the grid? Because if that is the case, then Hilton will have to start all the way from the back again, and that's not fair.
No, I don't. As far as I'm aware, and I'm not a rule maker, and of course I keep on top of the rules, but there's quite a lot of them. And it also there are dependencies in there. Because we've completed one full racing lap, I would imagine that we would go back a lap and then restart from that position. And I think it's under the, as far as I'm aware, discretion of the race director, I think, whether we go standing or rolling. Normally we tend to go rolling because, of course, we have a lot of races to get through still until the end of the day, and there will be a curfew of some description. Yeah. So that's what I would expect to see. There may be differences. Of course, we will, as soon as we get actual confirmation, we will let you know. Although we're getting word from MSV that the race will restart for a 10-minute contest with the grid form based off the current order, or I imagine the order as they came over the last time at the end of the fast full racing lap. It will be. So if there were any changes on this lap, then they will be reversed, but there weren't that many changes, I don't believe. As we can see now, the Zoom Boom going out on circuit to collect Holly Miles' car.
At least you've called it correctly. It's not a JCB. It is it's bright green for starters, so it's definitely not that. So yes, it will be a 10-minute race. No confirmation yet as to whether it will be standing or rolling, but I'm sure we'll find that one out in the very near future. I just think one of these are things I remember a couple of times that we've had this in the past, where obviously you kind of. There are rules in place for these eventualities, but sometimes. Not that they're adjusted or changed or anything like that, but like I said, the discretion of race control is the most important bit, because not every situation is exactly the same.
Yes, of course. And it's worth noting that there are, of course, so many different moving parts on a race weekend. The marshals all work together and along with the race direction team. And it's always... in the best interest of both the safety and, of course, the event as a whole and the race that the decisions are made for. But let's have a quick look at those drivers who have had a good race so far. We've mentioned Luke Hilton, who's made up a lot of places. Achetiv, you mentioned Lewis. You said he's a good shout for the victory. He was puncher in the first lap, wasn't he, making positions. He's up into second place. Bouquet, he's done a great job so far from pole position. Unfortunately, we saw Connor Willis fall down the order after that mistake at turn 1, as we've just also had note that each car can have one member of their team go to tend to the car, normally just with an air blower to keep the cars cool, because when they've been racing at full racing speed and then they stop suddenly like they have now, sometimes you can get overheating. But also, who else? Dayton Coulthard, we mentioned. He's a driver he's had a full years of experience in this car, in this championship. He stayed with the same team. Consistency is sometimes a really good thing, especially when you know that you work well with the team. And Douglas, we know, are a front-running team in this championship. He's confident this year. He's going to be looking for some good results, and this will be maybe a good start to the year. We saw how punchy he was in the previous race. Unfortunately, just made a tiny error, touched the curb, didn't he, through maggots, which meant that his race didn't end, but he fell down to the back of the order early, so struggled in race 2. But you can see all the cars coming towards the grid just to allow the marshals, the team members to tend to them if they do require that.
Yeah, I mean, look, they've been stationary for quite a while, and this is what we were expecting. So Alex O'Grady's car, they're not refiring. This is kind of one of those ones where he doesn't want... I think he wants the team to come over and not the marshals, because there's different rules on who can touch what and what they can do, and it's all very complicated. But obviously he is being pushed down to the grid anyway. Yep. I don't suspect that will be anything. I think he'll be able to restart where he is, because it's not a formation at start or anything like that.
I think the reason that O'Grady was reluctant to let the marshals push him is there is a rule that if you receive outside assistance during a race, so for example, if you spin into a gravel and you get beached and the marshals push you off, you can't then continue. You must come back to the pits.
But we're not in a race.
But we're not under racing conditions. The race direction team will also understand that because these cars have been racing at full racing pace and racing temperature and then stopped on the grid, sometimes racing engines and the electronics, when the car's hot, it's actually quite hard to restart, and often the teams will have an external battery as well, which kind of helps jump-start the engine. So I think, hopefully, fingers crossed, based on my understanding of the regulations, O'Grady should be okay, should the team be able to restart that car. And it looks like the grid is just reforming for this restart. We will have, if it is a standing start, which we haven't had any confirmation on yet, if it is a standing start, we will have a formation up to the grid. We won't just go cold turkey.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think that's what we had at Alton Park. Was it last year when we had the I distinctly remember at Alton Park last year we had a lot of rain that hit in GB4, and we had 6 cars take to the grid and everyone else was in the pit lane. It was something in that kind of vein. So yes, like you say, all the cars will roll into their grid slots. So we are getting a standing start then, as far as my understanding will be of what this procedure would be. They will do a formation lap from this point. They will return to their current spots, and then the race will begin again. With 10 minutes on the clock, Bouquet will have a fair amount of pressure from Active, who was quite aggressive on the race start previously, and from Dayton Coulthard, who's got plenty of experience on getting the car off the line, trying to search for a second victory in the GB4 Championship.
Yeah, here we go. Just everyone lining up. Last little bits and pieces. Each one mechanic will have those external batteries, which just give the onboard starter motor a boost to get the cars running. The drivers at the back of the field just forming up, and we're hearing in our ears that we're looking at a green flag lap and then a full standing start, which for me as a neutral, Lewis, I like the sound of.
Do you remember this in GB3? Now I'm only going back to this because I remember this happening in GB3 at Brands Hatch in 22, because I remember your face in the commentary box when it happened. The rule should still be that, for example, using Luke Hilton as an example here, he's obviously started from the rear of the grid and he's gained an awful lot of positions. Because I remember Callum Voisin did that because he crashed in qualifying.
Yes, of course.
The rule should be, I believe, that it's the points gained from the original race starting position, not from this race starting position, because the rule came out in the middle of the race that it was from this starting position, and you looked at me like, what?
Yeah, so basically Hilton will retain the bonus points that he has. A reminder that you can only get up to a maximum of 35 points in this race. Isn't that right?
It's 12 points, 12 positions gained at the maximum that you can,
gain,
yes.
But yeah, exactly. So 32, isn't it?
Yes.
32, not 30. Sorry, 35 is my mistake. That's race 1, isn't it? So even if Luke Hilton were to go on and win this race, he wouldn't get 50 points or whatever.
Yeah.
I think it's unlikely he's going to go through that far. But Hilton, starting at the back of the field, of course, has more of an opportunity to gain positions than anyone else. All the drivers at the back, of course. We're using Hilton as an example because he's able so far to show that he can drive his way through the field. 32 points, a slightly reduced points total for the partially reversed grid, but it rewards drivers that are able to move forward from their grid slot, which is one thing that the Championship has really encouraged over the years, because they want to develop fast drivers for the future. They want to develop the pace, but they also want to encourage racecraft from these drivers, and that's why we see drivers that move on from GB4 and GB3. They're able to race in single seaters, and they're able to show that racecraft in other championships, and it's a real draw to this series as well.
Do you know what is kind of amusing about that, though? Is the maximum of 12 bonus points that you can get for gaining positions. I'm pretty sure Luke Hilton cannot gain a single more bonus point anymore, because he's gained more than 12.
But he can gain points for finishing higher in the top 12.
Exactly. So he's not at his points cap, but he has already gained more than the 12 maximum bonus points. The mechanics are now leaving the grid, and we'll be able to see them roll around and see who is actually starting from where. But of course, you can see there, right-hand side of your screen, that will be Romy Bouquet. Left-hand side in the bright yellow, that of course will be Matan Achetiv. Dayton Coulthard in the black on the right-hand side. Charlie Myers there in the red and white on the left, who did have a solid start to the race. One of our rookie categorised drivers from obviously doing less than 3 car races. Also, look at Romy Bouquet G'ing himself up in that car. He is ready to go.
Yeah, he's warming his wrists up, rolling them round, just getting himself back in the zone. And that's something that these drivers will have to do. They've had 5-10 minutes or so downtime. They will have loosened the seat belts. They will have taken a moment to chill out, maybe chat to the mechanic that came out onto the grid. But now they have to get themselves very much back in the zone to go racing once again. This is just as important as the first half of the race, and another start is another opportunity to gain lots of places. And if I was someone like Luke Hilton, who's done well at the starts today, I'd be licking my lips at this opportunity. It's always easier to make multiple positions off a race start, a standing start, than it is once the field are spread out and rolling.
They wouldn't have had a nap. No.
Wait, you never know. You often see in testing drivers when they put on their social media in between runs, nap in the car. I don't think the drivers will have had enough time to nap. It's a good day for napping though. It's perfect weather out here at Silverstone. Lovely, warm. Just a light breeze. 18 degrees, I think it was at the start of the race.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think we can all agree here in the comedy booth that it's a perfect day for a nap in the afternoon. But it's fine for the drivers though, because there's definitely none of that going on at the moment, and you'd hope there's none of that going down into T1. They'll all be wide awake and firing, trying to make those moves, trying to make those positions for the likes of Fred Green. Let's see if he has rejoined the rear end of the train. I don't see him. Oh, because he did retire.
He jumped out, didn't he?
I was going to say, I wondered if there was maybe a chance they could have repaired that or whatever.
Well,
I
I think maybe it was too much damage to be. If it was just a puncture, they would have fixed it and they would have sent him out. So I imagine there was suspension damage on that car, and ultimately the damage was done. I think he fell a lap down already anyway, because when they crossed the line the next time, which was basically the point at which all the drivers are in this order, he would have fallen a lap down. So even if he continued on, the chances of him unlapping himself and then getting meaningful points is very slim.
Yeah, I mean, well, now we've actually seen a bit of this race already, and now we're going to see it restart. I'm going to ask you the same question. Who do you think is going to win this race from this point? I've already been told by a couple of people, mates have been in contact, saying they think maybe Dayton Coulthard is the firm favourite for this one.
I would love to see a Scorpio victory, It's great to see Scorpio in the championship. They've had a lot of experience in other series. I think they've guested in this championship previously, haven't they, Scorpio? Once or twice, but they haven't done a full campaign. Off the top of my head, I think so. And it'd be great to see them. Now they've got a full campaign in this championship, as Lewis does frantic research to find out if I am talking Codswallop.
A Keel alibi. Wow, that is
there you go. That's some niche knowledge. Lewis, we've done pretty much all the GB4 races over the season, so some of it at least sticks. But Scorpio with a two-car lineup, they're in for a full season. Bouquet at the front of the field, our French driver, he seems confident, he's relaxed. We spoke to him after race 2. He was looking forward to his pole grid slot. I think he will do everything he can. Well, I know he'll do everything he can to hold off the two behind, but all it relies upon is a good launch off the line. He's done it once. Can he do it again?
Keel Alibi finished 4th in the first race of the season finale at Donington for Scorpio. We did have Nye Evans last year for Rosso Verge Scorpio, the kind of came together for the opening 2 rounds last season. So we have seen Scorpio around the championship, but hopefully in it for the full season with Romy Bouquet, who is clearly showing his pace and getting some quality results. 11th and 7th so far.
And Archie Davis, of course, as well, the 87.
Yes, indeed. And Archie Davis is actually not in a bad spot. You can see him there, just coming into screens. So starting about, will that be 7th position, I guess, on the restart, something in that kind of vein.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I agree with you. I'd love to see Bouquet win, but I mean, I'd love to see someone really go out there. And I don't want to see someone running away. No,
we would like to see a good remainder of this race. A reminder, 10 minutes of this race remaining. There's a little issue if anyone's watching on live timing. We're getting word that Cars 24's transponder of Michael Coe isn't picking up quite as it should, so he is still in this race, but just the timing screen might be jumping around a little bit as the timing team do their best to keep on top of that manually.
10 minutes then in this race, and we do have the Scorpio of Romy Bouquet starting from pole position. A shortened race after the red flag, and we're ready to go once again in GB4. It'll be Adjective starting directly behind him. There was definitely a jump start from one of the elites. I think that might have been Del Grosso getting away way too early. The lights hadn't gone out at that point. We'll get an update from race control on that, but either way they are racing once again here in GB4, and it was a great start for Bouquet from the pole. Thomas Ingram Hill there in the white and red Fortec car going out wide at the opening corner, side by side, sees the complete black of Dayton Coulthard keeping Archie Davies at bay, who will stay in 4th position. Dayton Coulthard then will run in 3rd.
Yeah, it's a great restart from Bouquet at the front of the field. Adjective stays 2nd. Coulthard was under pressure in 3rd place, but look at this, the number 8, the returning driver for Fortec in the white with red flashes underneath the rear wing of the 22. Red with white flashes, Arden. On the right of shot, it is the number 8. He's looking up the outside, and also, I think that's the Elite Motorsports car there of Del Grosso, who's looking racy. And now Coulthard's putting pressure on Adjective, looking around the outside of Vale. That's going to put Adjective off of the optimum line, and Coulthard's going to be looking for a good exit out of club and onto the Hamilton straight.
Dayton Coulthard right over the rear end of the bright yellow of Matan Adjective. He'll look to the inside into the opening corner on the Grand Prix side of things as they head into Abbey. Is he going to be committed? It's completely flat through there, but he'll have to just back out of it a touch and remain behind the Elite Motorsports car. This is the battle for 2nd position. Once again, Bouquet's just starting to check back out. A look to the outside from Dayton Coulthard as he'll try to find his way through. He's certainly got the pace, he's certainly got the experience in this championship. Can he find his second victory in GB4?
Jason Smith also, this number 26, blue with darker blue flashes as, there's been damage. Ingram Hill, we missed that. How did that happen? Ingram Hill was looking for moves, and now we've got another safety car, unfortunately, because Ingram Hill's car is stranded. Looked like in the loop section again, often the source of comings together, because it's the first. It's always a slower point in the circuit where many moves are taken. Unfortunately, the rear wing has parted company with the Fortec car there. We were talking about how racy he looked and heading up towards Stowe, but Ingram Hill out of this race in the second section.
Where is that?
That's through Vale, isn't it? No, Abbey? No, hang on.
No, because...
hang on, is that the exit of Magnus and Beckett?
I was going to say, there's too much grass. It's definitely not Village in the Loop, because it's all tarmac out there. I think it might be like Maggotts Bay.
No, it can't be, because he was looking on the outside of...
there you go. See, that makes it the zoom out, and suddenly we know it's the club chicane. So that makes way more sense. That's one way to confuse two commentators right there. Have a nice punched-in shot there. Completely lost as to where we were at Silverstone then. Thomas Ingram Hill, though, he was in and around quite a few drivers in that, so I'm not particularly surprised.
He was looking to get past Myers in the Arden 22, and now Myers has dropped 3 places down to 7th.
Is this Hilton in the pit lane?
So to me, it says that Myers and Ingram Hill came together. Also, a very left-hand down, number 6 there of Dimitri Nolan for Hill Speed in the pit. So he's come to blows on circuit as well. And that ADM car was Hilton. Yeah. So after that brilliant start in the first half of this race, unfortunately, a lot of that work has been undone.
I think we can probably take a wild guess that it's probably all relatively linked. Having they're all battling hard.
Hilton wasn't as high as Ingram Hill,
but if Ingram Hill spun round and then there's someone's chucked, everyone's kind of backed up a little bit. Things like that can potentially back up the field, and maybe that's where he's running to the back of someone. I would
speculation at this stage. Maybe we'll see
wild speculation.
Wild speculation. We'll see if we get any replays of that. But yeah, I'm suggesting that Myers and Ingram Hills came together because they were. I think they were side by side on the entry of Stowe, and then we cut to a different battle through Village and the Club and. The Vale where we are now, and Club, which is where the Fortec of Ingram Hill is stationary and has exited this circuit. We were just looking at Jagielski, who's made up positions, and there is the stricken number 8 of Ingram Hill with the zoom boom in the background coming to the rescue. So hopefully next time by, we will get going racing, which will leave us 1, maybe 2 laps.
It will be tight to 1. Now the thing is, and this will be obviously if you have a team radio, this will be what you'd be communicating to Romain Bouquet. There is no team radio. There is no way to communicate. And the reason why I say that is that I remember, again, I'm using the memory banks today. It was Callum Boys in 22, and I remember it might have actually been Tommy Smith, the GOAT, at Spa in the 3rd race. It could have been Callum Boys, but either way, safety car was coming in, the time was ticking down the race, and he backed up the entire field and slowed everyone to make sure there wasn't 1 extra lap. Now, with 5 minutes left to go in this race, it takes about 3.5 to get round under safety car. What I'm saying is, if Bouquet is able to somehow know how long's left in the race, could potentially do a similar strategy of backing everyone up and not starting until quite late. Drag it up to the line, confirm the victory.
Yeah, well, it very much depends on how fast the safety car goes. And the safety car is under the instruction of the race direction team. If that incident is removed quite quickly, the instruction from the race control will go to the safety car and say speed up so we can go racing. If they think it's going to be tight, they'll tell it to slow down to try and avoid 1 additional lap behind the safety car. Well, we're not going green this time, that's for certain. The safety car goes past the pit entry, but with 4.5 minutes to go, it very much depends. If we go green at the end of this lap, then we will have a lap. If we don't, then I fear that we'll be under safety car. But it looks like the Marshall team, as always here at Silverstone, doing an exceptional job getting themselves to that. And there's a nice little pit entry there, isn't there, Lewis? And they can tuck behind the pit wall. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we get at least 1 more racing lap. Romu Bouquet will be hoping not. Achitov, Coulthard, Davies, Smith, Dogrosso, Myers, Hallman, O'Grady, Willis, etc. will be hoping that we do get some more racing.
Yeah, obviously it's not like the season finale. If you did join us for the first time in GB4, obviously all those months ago when we were racing in the season finale at the Donington Decider, where we actually ended up having 4 races of action that weekend. That was a special for that one, courtesy of a cancelled race at Brands Hatch. There are only 3 races. This is the last race for GB4 this weekend, so I'm sure the team, as much as they'll want that car back pretty quickly so they can repair it and wrap up and get out of here, it's not quite as pressing as it would have been 6 months ago in that season finale, with a 4th race coming up.
Yeah, this is the last race of the weekend. That's looks pretty dramatic, but that rear wing's only held on by a couple of mounts, and they're probably just going to tuck behind this barrier right here. So fingers crossed, we are going to get some more racing in this one, as the safety car looks like it's going pretty speedily down the hangar straight. All the drivers working hard to get those Pirelli tyres back up to temperature once again, because all the time under safety car you're not cornering at quite the same force and speed that you are when you're in full racing conditions. So you have to manually put the heat into the tyres, whereas normally when you're under full racing speed, the tyres heat up naturally.
Confirmation safety car coming in at the end of this lap, so we'll hopefully get some race. That's why you say the safety car has picked up its speed, and I mean, with 2 minutes and 30 seconds left to go, you'd sit from this point and think we're definitely getting at least 1 lap of racing in. I don't think Bouquet can back them up that much. So Achetev, Coulthard, Davies, Smith, they're all going to get an opportunity here to try and get past Bouquet, who's been perfect on the standing starts of the race. We'll now have to do the same thing from a rolling one.
Bouquet is getting everything thrown at him in this one, Lewis, isn't he, for his first pole position? Standing start, safety car restart, second standing car start, and he's so far tick tick tick, 1 more box to check, which is safety car restart, or 2 more maybe. Safety car restart, 1 flying lap, defend your position, potentially take the crown.
At the moment, the fastest lap of this race technically stands as a 3-minute 33.4 from Franek Jagelski. I don't think that will...
Second half of this race. We had a 202 from...
That's why the technically word joins us here. Yes, it's definitely not actually Jagelski. But 1 minute and 30 seconds, 90 seconds left to go until the checker flag. We will definitely get 1 lap. So now it goes back to Bouquet as to when he decides to put that loud pedal down and send this car round the final corner and the race back under action for one final time here in the season opener of GB4. We've had 2 races won by Fred Green, and are we going to get Romu Bouquet win one here? Now he goes. So no, for some reason Achetev was not onto the rear end of Romu Bouquet there, as if he's not really that bothered about winning this race. He left plenty of margin. Bouquet will send us back under action. 1 minute left to go, and on to the final lap we go. Bouquet with a perfect restart. Not that much pressure behind him.
No, Achetev left far too much space, in my opinion, on the back of Bouquet. If Achetev wanted to take the lead of this race, he needed to be right underneath the rear wing, but that'll be something he'll, I'm sure, get a word from the team after this race, because that's something you learn fairly early. Achetev early on in his single-seater career. But we head down now to Maggots and Beck. It's actually a good first corner from Achetev. Sees him close up on the back of Bouquet. No side-by-side action so far for at least the top 6 or 7 drivers, but also look who looks racy in this one. Coulthard in that black car, 3rd place, number 28. He's looking like he's right on the back of Achetev now.
Yeah, Myers feeling the pressure from Enzo Holman as well. Behind that, that's the white and red that you can see there in the background. But this is the battle for second position. It's Dayton Coulthard looking to the left-hand side, and that all-black car straight down the inside. He's going to go to try and get past Matan Achetev. Achetev hangs it long around the outside. A little bit of wheel banging between the pair of them, but beautiful racing indeed. Onto the brakes as they head into clubs. Achetev still leaving it down the inside, but Dayton Coulthard will tick that off. 1 more opportunity for him to go potentially into Brooklands if he can do it.
Yeah, there's the experience from Dayton Coulthard. He had a much better safety car restart, was much closer to the back of Achetev. Achetev waving around in the cockpit. Actually, I think that was just a visor tear off, maybe removing a bug or some oil from his visor, but he's dropped from 2nd to 3rd. Unfortunately, Coulthard with that move has lost enough time that I think Bouquet is safe at the lead of this race if he goes mistake-free. But further down the order, we looks like we've got a side-by-side battle for the lower reaches of the top 10 defensive. Side-by-side also from the 2 pace cars of the 18 and 76.
It'll be Byrne versus McLean there in the 2 pace. At the moment, it is the 18 of Byrne ahead of McLean, who obviously was racing last season, and not too far behind. That is the 3rd of those pace performance cars. They're all pretty close as they head into this final sector. A couple more corners left to go. The pace performance car is going to battle in the background. Alex O'Grady looking back to the inside as he's going to send one down into Brooklyn. That's very aggressive on the 22 of Charlie Myers, who just about hangs on and gives enough room through the final turn. It will be Bouquet who will come up towards the line. It's been all about Fred Green this weekend, but Bouquet will take Scorpio's first victory in the GB4 Championship, partnered by the BRDC. Achterv and Coulthard will round out the podium, with Coulthard up to second position and Achterv down to third. Davies, Smith, Del Grosso, Holman, Myers and O'Grady. Willis across the line to round out a very excited top 10.
Wow, what a result for Bouquet at the front of the field, and Scorpio will be absolutely over the moon with that, although we're hearing there's a potential investigation for Bouquet. I haven't seen what that's for yet, but for now Bouquet is our leader over the line.
Well, we definitely know that Del Grosso was jumping the race start. We do have it, I have it on race control, but I don't have it confirmed in the results that it will be. There it is, it's just come through on my timing screen. Bouquet has been given, and it's just been updated on your tower, a 10-second time penalty for jumping the start. Let's keep an eye on there. Definitely calls forward. Del Grosso most certainly is going to be getting one of those as well, because he definitely rolled forward even before we saw Bouquet do. So in all of that, Dayton Coulthard will win his second race in GB4.
Well,
what chaos.
I mean, Bouquet will be absolutely devastated. That small creep, I mean, he will argue that he didn't gain an advantage, but unfortunately the fact is the fact. He was not stationary inside the box when the lights went out, therefore the rule is applied and a 10-second penalty is applied, such that Dayton Coulthard, that move around the outside of club corner, was the one for the victory. Dayton Coulthard, he will be over the moon with that, and so will the Douglas Motorsport team, but take nothing away. Bouquet, he's one to watch for the rest of the season, and great job for Scorpio. He deserved that race win, but for one tiny little error on that second restart.
It's that is absolutely brutal, unfortunately, but I mean, that is racing. Race control keeping their eye on that. Like I say, drove perfectly, but it's a jump start is one of those ones, the black and white rule, like what we say in Formula One. You know, when you see it says under investigation for speeding in pit lane, we all know what that means. That's a guaranteed penalty, unless a big question mark. Same thing with a jump start. 9 times out of 10, if it's under investigation, if someone has done anything, it's black and white. You're either inside the box and stationary, or you're rolling and outside the box. There is no.
It's not arguing.
Yeah,
it's a judge of. It's also a judge of fact. You can't appeal it. Once the decision's been made, that's it. It's done. Because ultimately, as you said, Lewis, either inside the box and stationary, or you're not. But Coulthard, I don't know whether he knows yet. In fact, he probably doesn't. He thinks he's had a second place. But Coulthard, once again, looking very, very comfortable. A driver that was late to racing, started later than some of the drivers on this grid. He didn't start as, some drivers start as early as 4 or 5 years old. Coulthard a bit late to karting, moved up to single-seaters in GB4 last year, his first full year in cars. The start of the year was, his inexperience was showing a little bit, wasn't quite as comfortable as he would like to have been, but second half of last year really came on strong, had some solid finishes and some solid results, and in the end, this year he's come back even stronger with his menacing looking bare carbon Douglas Motorsport car, and this is the moment where he realises he has won the race. Brilliant result for Coulthard.
Yeah, it really, really is. Obviously, that victory will help him a little bit. The championship after finishing 18th in the previous one after that spin. So 6th, 18th and 1st for Dayton Coulthard. Spare a moment for Romeo Bouquet, who had driven brilliantly, but Scorpio is still going to get a podium, by the way. So they are still going to get their best result in GB4, courtesy of Archie Davies. But I mean, for Romeo Bouquet, who did drive so good, it just unfortunately wasn't it. You can see the drivers there. You can also see Fred Green's car in the background that did go back out in that race later on. He will obviously be collecting. He'll be going up to the podium, I'm assuming, for the Sunoco fastest driver of the weekend award. Also will be getting the Omologato One to Watch award, which is for the most points scored in the opening 2 races of a weekend. Certainly did that with a first and a first. You can see Archie Davies there onto his first podium in GB4. It was a 13th in a retirement and then a 3rd for Archie Davies. For Dayton Coulthard, it will be a 2nd victory. Of course, won the opening race at Donington Park just last year. That was over 6 months ago now, and now we'll get to climb to the top step of the podium for the 2nd time in his career. I mean, what a brilliant drive. Again, pieced it well. Great move late on. We'll head down to Jon Jackson to catch up with our top three and see exactly what it takes to get on the podium here in GB4.
Thank you very much, Lewis. Yeah, second race win in GB4 for Dayton Coulthard. That all-important move then got you the race win. I don't think you knew it at the time. Talk me through it.
Yeah, no, I saw the jump start from number 9, and I knew that it was going to be all or nothing for first place. So I saw a chance and I took it.
A lot of disruption in that race. Obviously, sometimes that can be a bit of a distraction, but you held it together. Was that a little bit of a challenge for you, or do you kind of cool and collected in those moments?
I was getting kind of tired. I was about to have a nap in the car. I was sitting around all the time, but no, I think it kind of helped play everything out properly. So it was good.
A good end to the weekend. Obviously, how do you rate your weekend, your first weekend in this season?
Well, definitely better with a result like that. It's been going a bit rough. It's not been the best, but it's I think it's a positive way to end things.
Absolutely, it is. Well, look, we'll let you go and get your trophy. Congratulations on your second win.
Thank you very much.
There we go, Dayton Coulthard. We can see his dad David running. Well, not running. He was walking briskly up the pit lane. Let's speak to Matan Achitov. Matan, how do you feel after that result there? A little bit higher than you expected?
No, obviously we came into this championship with high expectations to do well. We had a big setback at Brands. We had 2 weeks off to think it off in my mind and came back here, back in the car, do my job. Obviously we had a problem qualifying with an electrical part and we only got 1 lap. Still, first race was a bit of a struggle getting used to the championship. Second race up to P5 from P9, so good. And this race was really good. Don't know what happened when we stopped. The whole grid stopped. I think the cars overheated a bit, had 0 power after both restarts, but held off Dayton on the first one. Couldn't hold him off on the second one with the little power I had, but the car was really good all weekend. I want to thank the team, my engineer Jody, Matt, my coach, Johnny, driver coach, Ed, Steph, the whole elite team. Obviously we've done a lot of work pre-season and it's starting to pay off.
Great result for you, and also a very strong weekend for the team with Fred also doing well.
It would have been nice to finish it off with 3 wins for the team, but obviously we had that issue in the end. We'll investigate. But first, still P2, second, first race in the championship, first podium. Really happy, and want to thank everyone back home, my parents, everyone back home in Israel that's been supporting me. And I think this is not the end. This is just the beginning. We can do a lot more.
Plenty more opportunities this season. We'll see you at Alton Park.
Thank you, mate.
There we go. Let's move on to Archie Davis. Hey, congratulations, your first podium in the first weekend of the new season. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I don't know what to say, to be honest. Yeah, I'm lost for words, literally.
It's obviously a little bit disappointing that your teammate got the penalty there, which took the race win away, but great for the team as well to get a podium this weekend.
Yeah, no, definitely. Shame for Rommel. He was doing really well. Shame about the jump start. But yeah, no, he was well ahead.
How do you look back then? Obviously, I mean, I know in the moment you're a little bit shocked or whatever, but when you look back at this first weekend, you must have learnt a lot, I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, it has. Apart from this race, it hasn't been the best of weekends. Got into a few little hits on the first race, ended up 13th, and then last race I didn't finish. So, yeah, safe to say I didn't really expect it.
But lots of learning going into Alton Park in a few weeks.
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited for that.
Excellent. Well, we'll let you go and celebrate with the rest of the team and your friends and family. Congratulations again.
Thank you very much.
There we go. A kind of strange result there towards the end, and we can see that the Scorpio team had a race win taken away from them, but they still go away with the podium, which I think is important. We'll get Lewis to talk you through the podium now, and we'll go and chat to some more of the drivers afterwards.
Cheers, Jonas, and yes, always great to chat to the top 3. And I mean, it's quite nice to see a driver lost for words. Very rare. Normally, some of them can be quite chatty, but for Archie Davies, a shock visit to the podium. We'll leave him a little bit lost for words. They'll head their way onto the podium. I suspect it might be a relatively fast ceremony because GB3 is not too far away from going into action for its final race of the weekend. We'll see the drivers head their way up. Archie Davies will be leading the charge, of course, for finishing in 3rd position in the opening race, opening reverse grid race rather of the weekend. And after finishing in 13th, retiring from the second race and getting onto the podium, it will be a first podium for Scorpio in the GB4 Championship. Of course, we were discussing through that broadcast, they had done some races before. Akil Alibi was the first time we saw them. That was back in 2022. We only had, I think it was like 15 drivers, maybe 12 to 15 drivers on that grid that time. Now we have a record entry this weekend of 29. How far the championship has come in the opening 5 years and all the work that's been put in to see us get to this point. So hopefully we'll get those drivers out onto the podium. The 87 of Archie Davies. I'm sure there'll be a big shame for a big disappointment for the Scorpio team that Romeo Bouquet would not be taking that victory. But a jump start is a jump start, and it does at least pass off the podium finish to his teammate Archie Davies. Into third position he'll go. He'll be joined by Matan Achatev into second. Seventh in the championship he'll be after that performance, and onto the top step of the podium for the second time in technically 2 rounds of GB4. For the second time in his career, it is Dayton Coulthard taking to the top step and moving right the way up to 5th in the championship, even after the disappointment of the previous race. Jonathan Palmer is the one then to hand out the trophies, the chief executive of MSV. And of course, the drivers receiving their photographs with Jonathan Palmer, which is not the last ones they'll be getting if they keep up this kind of performance. Dayton Coulthard, indeed. Great to receive those trophies from Palmer, from the chief executive of MSV, from an XF1 driver as well. You know, it's pretty impressive for a lot of these drivers that maybe stepping up to this kind of level for the very, very first time. They will also be joined on the podium by Fred Green, who will receive his Sunoco Fastest Driver of the Weekend award. I'm pretty sure he's the one who had the fastest lap of the weekend. He definitely will be receiving the Omologato One to Watch award. That would have been given after race 2. Let's go to highlights though of race 3 of the weekend. Highlights from round 3 of the GB4 Championship, partnered by the BRDC, and it was Romeo Bouquet leading us from pole position. All the drivers darting their way down into the opening corner as Achatev was getting aggressive. Started this one from 3rd position and was trying to find his way through into 2nd in the opening stages. A couple of cars running wide in the opening parts of the track, but no one going too far foul on the opening lap. Achatev would sneak over 2nd position, getting past Myers as he was trying to charge up then to the rear end of our race leader, Romeo Bouquet. Fred Green had started further down the order. Bit of contact with Thomas Ingram Hill. Would see Ingram Hill off the road, and unfortunately would see a puncture and some suspension damage coming in for Fred Green, and would see him out of the race. Holly Marr was out of the race also, and unfortunately a slow extraction for her left us with a red flag, which meant we would have a race restart. Romeo Bouquet would have a jump start from that one as the drivers were once again back into action. Thomas Ingram Hill would be retiring for the race after the rear wing was battered off of his car, and Romeo Bouquet would come through the final corner to cross the line in first. Of course, this was really the battle for the race victory. It's Dayton Coulthard and Achatev. They were going side by side for what was second at the time. They'd both seen that jump start and they were both well aware as to what they were fighting for. Dayton Coulthard with a great move around the outside in his Douglas Motorsports car. He would drag his way through the final corner. Yes, Bouquet would cross the line first, but that victory would go back to Dayton Coulthard for the 2nd time in GB4. So the provisional race results then, and again I'm sure there's plenty more to investigate for race control, sees Coulthard on top, Achatev in 2nd, and Davies the top 3. Jason Smith into 4th position. Once again another great result from him. That is 3 top 5s in the opening race of the season. Del Grosso in 5th, then Holman, Myers, O'Grady, Willis and Byrne will be the top 10. Behind that is McGlade and O'Donnell making its 3 pace performances in 3 positions. Then it is Grant Coe, Tagelski, again another great drive up from the back of the field up to 15th. Bouquet, Martin, Green, Iskander and McDaniel all separated by 10 seconds after that restart. Then it was Luke Hilton up to 21st position, Amrouche, Bullard, Leverton, Ruggiero, Nolan, Ingram Hill and Watkins and Marl. Of course the bottom 4 being retirement from the race, unfortunately. Championship standings wise, obviously no one's going to be shocked that Fred Green is leading the championship. It'll be 70 points for him, 59 points for Jason Smith, 2nd in the title race, just a point clear of Enzo Holman. Alex O'Grady would be there with 3 top 10s to start the season in 4th. Dayton Coulthard with that victory in 5th. Then it's Del Grosso, Ingram Hill, Achatev, McLean and Willis, the top 10 in the point standings. Exciting opening race weekend of the 2026 season. Let's head down to Jonas and Piers.
Thank you very much, Lewis. Great race there. I mean, a little bit interrupted by those safety cars, but I think we come to expect that with GB4, especially the sort of earlier rounds when people are making mistakes. But Fred Green, great weekend for him.
Great weekend for him up until that last race,
Well,
of course.
yeah, yeah.
Unfortunately, that contact saw him out of the race, but still in a very strong position in the championship, riding high. Also, that race gave us a few different other stories as well. Great to see Scorpio, a new team to a full championship campaign, being right there, and only a small error by Romu Bouquet robbed him of victory. He'll be back.
Absolutely, yeah. He was waving his arms, gesticulating angrily, but of course, I think once he watches it, he'll go, okay, yeah, fair enough. I did jump that start slightly. Obviously, Dayton Coulthard is celebrating behind us now. They may have been cleared up now, and they're still there with DC. And we'll try to grab a word with him, but he's a slippery character. Sometimes you can never grab him. He's too busy celebrating with his son. But there we go. We'll catch him at some point soon. Obviously, that's it for GB4 this weekend. We will have 3 more races in a few weeks' time at Alton Park on the Saturday and on the Monday of the bank holiday. And coming up next, we will have the final race weekend of the GB3 Championship as well. Again, very similar to this, it's the top 12 reverse grid race, so there's bound to be some chaos. Stick with it. We'll be back in a matter of minutes for that final race here at Silverstone.